All right, mates, welcome back to the channel. Really quickly, want to share this little 4 or 5 minute slip from fishing in the DMV. It's a great YouTube channel. You guys should check it out, especially if you're fishing in the Maryland, DC, Virginia area. Thomas does a great job. You should give him a subscribe and a like on this particular video. Obviously, with John from the Virginia DNR, who's been around for a long time. In some different regions in Virginia. So take a listen to this. It's really great information for Lake Anna. A lot of people love Lake Anna. Grew up in Virginia. Everyone knows Lake Anna, but this is really good information on the F1s and on the stocking program that's taken place at Lake Anna that's really caused Lake Anna to basically take off here in the last few years.
So Lake Anna, and I think you're a big part of that management. So kind of maybe just talk about the fishery, the health of the fishery, and what you've done or seen, where we're at on Lake Anna.
It's phenomenal, and I would love to take all the credit for it, but I'm just watching it happen. We took that silly slot limit off at 12 to 15 inch slot years ago, but that was useless anyway because nobody keeps fish, so it doesn't do anything. So yeah, all I've done is watch it flourish, and to me, and it was incredible. You referenced the bags. We've been going out now. Well, I've been surveying it. I've been using a standardized survey data for over 20 years. Spring electrofishing 3 days, different parts of the lake. And it's pretty much gone nowhere but up in terms of numbers and size since we started that standardized survey, but it wasn't as significant as it was until the last few years. And remarkably enough, about 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, one spring we were like, wow, this was definitely the best this lake's ever looked. And then you take it back, you crunch the numbers, like, yep, this lake is definitely the best it's ever looked, both in numbers and size. And then you come back the next year, it's like, wow, it happened again. The next year, wow, it happened again. And so like this year, we didn't quite break last year's record, but it was damn close. Actually, we broke for one. They broke for fingerlings. But for most categories, most sizes, different sizes of fish we use for our metrics, it was not quite as good as 2021. But still, we're riding the peak of this wave right now. And the amazing thing is the F1s haven't shown up yet. And so what we're looking at is an increase in big fish and an increase in numbers of fish. And we're just now getting ready for a third year F1s. So we've got 2 year classes in there now, and those fish aren't even, they're not even close to being those big fish at the land.
Wow, how big?
The F1s, when we stock them, the size of pinky fish. Well, it's a variable rate. There was a guy named Dan Getz who used to work with our agency. He went across the river, damn him, to Maryland DNR. But he worked with Scott Smith, who was his boss, one of my buddies, and they came up with a pretty cool study design where we implemented a variable stocking rate based on that lake's historic fingerling production. So we recognize that every reservoir is different. So the big lakes involved in the study, like Smith Mountain, Lake Anna, Chickahominy, I think. There's like 5 or 6 of them around the state. I try to put one visual in every region. And so we went back and historically looked at the number of fingerlings in annual surveys and then miles of shoreline, and they came up with something based on the literature in terms of how many fish in stock. I think it's a 6-year stocking study, and each lake gets 2 years of a high, a medium, and a low rate. And that way we can not only try to, because it's not cheap buying these fish, which we do have to buy these. We don't rear them ourselves because these are F1s, meaning I don't prefer the term tiger bass, but it's a hybrid. It's a first generation. That's the critical. It's a first generation cross between a pure northern and a pure Florida. They're raised at a hatchery specifically designed to create this cross. And they're marketed as F1 or tiger bass.
For people at home that don't know, is there a specific reason why Restream can't raise licensing things and like we don't have the right facility? What are the reasons?
Mostly we just don't have the pond space facilities right now. Pond space is extremely limited. We're doing the best we can with stripers and walleye and all the sunfish species. Most fish we stock in Virginia, trout especially, we've got cold water and warm water hatcheries. Most fish stocked in Virginia are raised in our state hatcheries. Your licensed dollars help pay for them. The big exceptions are channel catfish. We bid those out to the private sector because we stock a larger catfish and we just can't produce them as cheaply as the private sector can. So, and most of those don't reproduce self-sustain in small lakes, even like Brook Lake or lakes like that size. They don't self-sustain. So we stock those annually, and then F1 largemouth. We don't do those ourselves.
All right, mates. Hope you enjoyed that. It was great.